I can, yeah, yeah,
Good.
This meeting is being recorded.
Can you hear that?
I can.
Good, good. So I just wanted to chat a little bit and see how we can assist you. I know you don't know it, but you guys have assisted us quite a bit in our class, and
Ah,
we refer you to our folks. We're on a little bit of a break now for the holiday, but we start again September 14th. And I'm trying to broaden what we appeal to. Uh, so if you don't mind, just kind of share with me a little bit about the history and what we could do, and anything that comes to mind, how we can support you. That's what we want to do. Now I'm going to put you on the spot.
okay, fantastic.
Now tell
It
me about it.
sounds like there's like a kind of a growing energy or like an appetite to grow what you're doing. Is that right?
Very much so. Very much so. The people, we always talk about the search for roots and the Irish nostalgia in America. Uh, and that's fine. That's great. It's changing a little bit because of, they're not coming to Cleveland anymore. My dad came here through the GAA, but that's not
Oh,
happening here in a great deal. Uh, they, unfortunately, I'm probably the last first generation coming to Cleveland. Uh, New York and
or
Boston are
just
doing
about.
okay. Yeah, they're doing okay, and it's kind of like it's on the rise again now. So we'll see how the election plays out. But do you have any impressions of the elections based from being up close to it?
Well, excuse me. I think the upfront concern is the economic concern in
Sure.
Ireland, because we make a lot of money as a country from US multinationals. And for example, I don't know if you're aware that Apple owes the country 14 billion euro. The EU, we were
Oh,
saying we don't want it, we don't want it, but the EU said no, you need to take this.
yeah. Something
Um,
to do with that.
yeah, so it
Uh,
was that showed in our election because politicians were saying, well, 14 billion euro could, build a hospital or stuff like that, so it did show.
Yeah. I wonder about the homeless. That's what when I read about it, I'm not well educated on you guys. We got enough problems with our own election here. But we, interesting to see how they keep bringing up the housing and the economy, of course, for everyone. Uh, but I don't know, that 14 billion might go a ways towards solving some of that. I know there's immigration problem as well, people coming in, and Ireland is taking on a lot of that, especially uh, Ukraine, but everywhere. So I know there's some animosity within the country for that, and we're fighting the same thing. Um, from our standpoint, we could say very easily, well, America has welcomed our generation, my dad, my mom, very easy. So we should do that too. But there's obviously a lot of nuance to it. It's not a simple yes or no type thing. But uh, in reading the post-election stuff from Ireland this morning, again, the homeless issue kept coming up, and how will they form a government since nobody has the outright seats to do it? Do you have a preference or a thought about that, or what do you think? It's all just nuts, so we should duck.
Well, like the proportional representation system in Ireland is really interesting, right? So,
Yeah,
um, when I went to the ballot box, there was, I think, around 14 people. So you can go down through the whole list. So you go number one, number two, number three.
yeah,
And some people recommend going the whole way down. So I did that. So you're kind of going, okay, who's number 10? Who's number 11?
yeah,
Um, but it means that you don't have to be too strategic about, oh, I need to vote for the most likely person, or my vote will be lost. Like they have that, say, in the United Kingdom, but with our proportional representation that the Brits gave us, right?
yeah.
Um, it's a statistically distributed system, so you get a fair representation of where the votes went
Okay.
overall, and it means that we're much more likely to have collaborative governments rather than all-out majority government.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, Sinn
It's
Féin
more
have figured
reflective.
high.
You think it's more
Yeah,
reflective? Yeah, that's good.
I think so, yeah. Mm,
Good. Well, I won't
yeah.
bog down in politics. It's just interesting to get. I just like to get your perspective. I don't talk about it very much in the paper at all. A little bit when you have to, of course. In the reunification, we hosted the U.S. launch of the reunification effort here in Cleveland, which was
Mm,
cool, interesting. And I am the last person I would ever call an expert, but I'm learning as I go, and it's interesting to get different perspectives. Whether that happens or not. I've gotten a far view. I'm hopeful, but it's a whole different topic. So let's get back
yeah,
to
it's interesting.
the business at hand here. Tell me a little bit about what we could do, and if you don't mind, even just a few minutes introduction of what you're doing. Tell us about that, and then how we can help you. Maybe there's interviews we can do with you guys, or there's anything we can do. We're going to try to do to help.
Cool, yeah, and same to you. I'd love to get your perspective. Like I've read what I can about you, but I'd love to hear directly as well about, what you do and what you're aiming to do.
Yeah.
With Bite Size Irish, I started it 14 years ago, and thousands of learners have used us since. It was, how would I describe it? A very kind of online course oriented type of offering originally, where you sign up and you have access to the course and you take it in your own time. But I felt maybe a bit like you in bringing people together. It's an instinct I have that we need to learn together, help each other, support each other. So the team has grown. There's three part-time people as well as me, and they're fluent as well. And we run the business through the Irish language. And our approach is if the person wants to pay for higher membership, we call it Explore or Grow plans, that they have access to a thriving community online. So it's a safe space for learners with daily challenges, for beginners, and there's practice calls. So depending on your plan as well, you can pay more for more regular practice
Okay.
calls with the fluent instructor. So we tried a one-to-one instruction before as well, but the costs were just way too high that
Imagine.
it didn't make sense, for consumers. So it's kind of like a gradual entry where our foundation's membership plan, people can pay monthly or get a nice discount annually. And it's actually a really interesting mix of culture and language lessons. So there's pronunciation crash course, there's a tour of Ireland, um, I don't know what else. And I could even share my screen if that made sense. I don't know how easy that is here, but
Yeah, definitely.
you might get
Please.
a quick taste. So I'll do that. I'm opening the site now. So if you give me a second.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, great. I'm doing that now. So I have to allow Zoom, and then sorry, I'm just opening a new window. So sorry, John, give me a second. Alrighty. So I
I see you.
believe you can see my Ashter screen
I can.
where it says Call to Own. Yeah. So Ashter is our learning platform, and this is where people can access our courses and community. So the foundations plan that I was talking about has these cultural, um, uh, we call them mini courses, like a trip around Ireland. So it's mixing geography with a taste of the Irish language, including phonetic spelling and clearly recorded audio. So we've got thousands of these audio buttons. And this has been designed by an expert content creator, a teacher in Irish language for adults. So to be clear, I founded Bite as Irish, and I'm really kind of the technician and maybe marketer. But I don't put myself as like a qualified teacher trying to explain language. You get me? It's different that way.
Yes, sure.
So I'm going back just really quickly. We've got full courses as well. Like these are multi-module foundations courses, even self-expression and a reference pack for quick reference. And then we have Bite-Sized Pubble, which is a whole community. And we've got conversation practice scripts where learners can join a Zoom call. In this case, it's every month, but there's others every week. And it's like a scripted role play, which we have found to be really effective because you have the script in front of you and you get like supported by the instructor and the people in breakout rooms to practice speaking without being put on the spot, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah.
Because we
People are
found
self-conscious.
Yeah.
People are so self-conscious, you know. So
Yes, self-conscious, yes. We found that it's really hard to just get people to speak, you know, freely online. So this has been our compromise. Gaeilge Claw is our motto, Irish every day. People really understand that. It's about practice and letting the language into your life rather than the idea of like you need to study all the time or something. It's very kind of heart focused. And then by this Pubble, there's plenty of discussion happening there in the community. And we have Emma, who's a community manager. So the whole system is all really interesting. And just this week, we launched a really popular Sing in Irish course, which people have really taken to. It's rather than the kind of left brain study mode, it's this kind of immersion and spending time with song and getting to know the pronunciation through videos. It's been really interesting, and people have started sharing like where they are, you know.
yeah,
And yeah, it's been a really nice way to kind of help people get closer to the Irish language without studying exactly. It's something very different, but over 100 people purchased this course in the past week. It's been very popular for us. So we've promised to add 4 more songs. So there's 4 here. We're going to add 4 more by March. It takes time to like develop video and stuff, but we break it down verse by verse, and we explain and give captions and time to reply, you know, and then our audio buttons as well. So that's like I'm glad that I've been able to give you like a direct look into how we help people. So I don't know, do you have any questions there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so extensive. I know that the prep time alone must be massive to have something ready to launch it online. And we just launched a new website. And so we're looking for things that find a way that this could be available, you know, with your same memberships, you know, all those things that link to that so that people can do it. I can't hear well. I wear hearing aids in both ears. And I've attended the class for 10 years. I know very, very little. I don't actually participate in the class anymore. I'm just there for support because I can't hear the nuances, you know, and that kind of stuff. And so what, of course, as you know, what you read and what you say are kind of different, uh, you know, compared to English. So, but I'm wondering if this, where I could have the computer up as loud as I wanted, would help me with that, with the pronunciations. You know, some of the songs, Yo Rob Hawaii, I never get the third word right. I can remember the Furies singing that for a long time in the Wolf Tones.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, yes.
so the
And
song is in my head,
chieftains.
and we're doing that in the class now because we're trying to make it funner, if you find a better word for it than funner.
Yeah.
But more culturally inclusive. And we do have some people. The guy that teaches the class was one of our original students in 10 years ago, and he just it clicked for him, and he kept going. He explains things in a way that a teacher might not be able to, like more down to earth, more explicit, and give examples of what's going on around us. So that's helpful. But now we're outgrowing. Now we have to find other teachers because we've gotten too big.
Wow.
So we're trying to solve that for him because it becomes more strain on him. And so I think that this could be a way to supplement what we're doing. And I don't, no different than what you're doing, other than we tell our people, hey, here's your access point. Go on and sign up for it and do that kind of thing. But I think it's reinforcing. And I think being online is so much easier to learn because you do it when you want to, as when you have time to do it. You're not stuck to, we have so many people that, especially here in the winter now, we're heading into our winter in Cleveland. You can lose all that. You can lose people to the weather and you lose that kind of stuff. So I think as a backup source, this would be wonderful.
Interesting. And I definitely believe in person as a general rule, that in person can be fantastic. But like you were saying, okay, hearing difficulties, like I attend a part-time college course myself on Jungian psychology, depth psychology. It's really interesting. But there's been two fellow students hard of hearing, and they wear hearing aids of different types, and they have to sit close to the teacher. So I understand that too. I think maybe the trouble with online too is the nature of it, that it can be you're a bit on your own. Maybe okay, it's at your own pace, but like, how do you get help? How do you get feedback?
Yes.
So in Bite Size Irish, like we do offer like direct email support within the app. So it's a web app, we don't have a phone app directly, but you can use it on your phone, if you get me, in your
Yes.
browser.
Yes.
So every page you can ask a question and we get notified with the link to that page, so we know the context.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I think it'd be a great compliment to what we're doing with the classes, but then also on a bigger scale of mission, if you want to call it that. How can we help build the community? One of the neat things about this group that we have is that they have started to do things together outside of class. They volunteer at the GAA games, tournaments, that kind of stuff. And Irish or not, one of a local legend here, Brian Bakley, unbelievable musician, and he puts on concerts, Irish Christmas type things, and we all volunteer at that. So it's just really formed those friendships doing. They go out to dinner together and they do different things together. So it really has created a community well beyond just speaking the language. So I think that's got much more stability and sustainability than if the only thing they did was go to class once a week and then go home.
Yeah.
So with the community, I would like to see we'll find a way that we can first tap them into you and hopefully signing up. They do know about you, talked about you. But then also, how can we support you in other ways? Certainly, we'll do a story. Maybe we have a favorite links on the page. Of course, we'll put you there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, but I'd like to do something bigger. I'd like to do something, and we have to figure that out. I can't come to you and say, hey, you should do this. What can we do that can link to the cultural part of the website that maybe is more in place? It doesn't, kind of disappear after time.
Okay, interesting.
They could put maybe, hey, check this out, kind of thing.
Could I just ask as well? So you've shared a bit about the Irish language, like in person, that you have, and it sounds like it's really growing, kind of outgrowing the current structures. And then you have your whole like online presence, and it's print as well, isn't it?
That's what we
Or
started
like,
with, was print.
okay. So
and then,
could you give me a bit of context on what you
sure,
do on that side?
sure. The print magazine is 13,000 copies per month. They are distributed for free. It's all advertiser driven. So they are distributed from 460 locations in what we call Greater Cleveland, which will be a 9-county area around the city of Cleveland. So it goes down to, I don't know if you know the name of it, but there's a city further south called Akron. And then that's in a direct, I would expect you. The next line is to Columbus, which is a large city. That's our state capital. So we extend almost to Columbus. At one time we were on the ground there with issues, but we pulled back at a while post-COVID. So we are at 460 locations in this greater Cleveland area. That issue is interactive. It then goes online. Anyone can access it right now. We don't have a firewall up. At some point, we will have to. We'll move away from print. We have moved some. We went from 20,000 printed copies to 13,000. And this is where we kind of stabilize in. I think we'll probably stay at that for a little while. But we are beginning the process of moving things to digital. So there are some stories online that are not in print. And of course, online gives you much more space. There's a lot more pictures. There are sometimes the story runs rather long. We'll link to it, and they can read the first part of the story and then jump over here to read the rest of it. So we're doing things to try to drive that. God help us, we just started a TikTok application.
Well done. Yeah, it is tough, isn't it?
I have no more to say on that, but and so we're adding things to try to get younger. Anytime we've added a new columnist, we have tried to be younger, depending on so to focus to that folks. We know that they said the last first generation, and how are we going to hook these folks that didn't grow up the same way we did. My dad came over here in Montreal first, and then here, and started an Irish festival, and grew up with so much just ingrained us. We didn't know any different.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, we go to the school was called St. Mel, who was the nephew of St. Patrick. I didn't know that when I was young. Didn't connect for me that it was Irish, but it just was immersed without even trying. And we have grown so big from that that it wasn't just like I got into high school that I realized, not everybody has this Irish connection or has their roots connection like we do. And obvious reasons with immigration on that, but how do we keep that going? So I grew up going to the festival, hearing songs, and one of the things we always loved was to see somebody walking off the midway and they hear a song, they stop and listen, like not knowing that person wrote that song. It's not just a cover of it. So Tommy Macomb, all the old legends were all here. That part of it just kept growing. Well, that's not the case anymore. Those kids walking off the midway having a clue, who, and that's fine. It's not right or wrong. It just is. They have no clue who wrote it or that, so they don't know the story. I've written a bunch of books about the history of Irish music. It just keeps you.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, it keeps you to know the history, and especially with my memory, I need to refer back to it pretty often to remember things. But it just grew up immersed in it. And it wasn't until later I realized that. But then I regret that for other people. They don't have that connection that that you could really get information about your history. And I do believe that it forms you. A lot of who you are is from your roots. So that's what we tried to provide when we started the paper in 2006, was to connect those roots. At that time, we hadn't seen the drop off in roots, but we obviously very obvious now. So we're trying to really make that a bigger presence. We use our tagline, preserve, present, and promote the Irish heritage. That's what we're trying to do with the paper. But I know that's going to be digital at some point. So the issue that goes online is interactive. So if somebody clicks on an ad on the online issue, they go to the person's website. We do a lot of featured stories. We have archives since our very beginning on the website, which is nice because you don't have any more space. You don't need any more space. It's there already.
Yeah.
That's going to save us. So I think that's down the road. We're trying to get as diverse as we can. We have a diverse staff. We have a very sustainable product, grain product, and we give back a lot. We just, at the end of 2020, what years is 4, we crossed $420,000 in donations to local and national charities since we started. So we're trying to do the things that to a responsible citizen. You know what I mean? Like, without, patting myself on the back. It's not me, it's all of us. And there's 28 of us now.
Wow.
So it's
and if you don't mind me asking, how do you, is it advertising or how do you fund this? Because that's a big operation that you have.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's hard. You wish it wasn't so reliant on funding, but that's reality. That's what everybody struggles with. But we really work hard on the advertising part of it. That is about 90 some high percent of our funding comes from advertising. We are working with some grant writers right now to try to improve some of that. not necessarily a nonprofit wing, but some things within that to raise revenues. When we haul away the print and the delivery of the print to those 460 locations, we haul away more than 70% of our expenses. So, like, I'm all for that, of course, knock away some of those expenses of print and delivery, but then you're not reaching people in the same way. And my parents' generation still want to hold the paper. Still, I find it easier and easier as I go on to read it online and start to revert on it, depending. But you still can't sometimes, holding a book in your hand, sitting down and getting lost in a book. There's too many distractions when you're online, So that's fueled some of it of trying to get people links to their roots, trying to have them. We have what we call godfathers, and those are people who may advertise with us, but they're not getting any business from it. They know that they're giving us money because they like what we do and want to keep that going. So, but really, the heart and soul of it has been mom and pops, a pub, a restaurant, an import store, a concert venue. The festivals have been huge for us, and my favorite thing of all, politics.
Oh,
Yes, there's a hugely, where we live in Queens, a hugely democratic community, huge.
okay.
So, but we do get a lot of advertising from candidates, which is always nice for us. They're very easy to work with. They generally tend to send you camera ready art, so that's always nice. And they listen on how we can do things here because it is still a very heavily Irish community. So we get some wonderful opportunities. So our goal is to try to really raise that community, to raise awareness of it, to raise interaction with it, because they are disappearing, and we want to keep that culture preserved and presented, not just put it in a book and put it away, but having an active life. We've got a massive GAA presence in Cleveland, which people, Cleveland, how did that, but through the roots, Cleveland itself has a men's and women's field football, a hurling, a camogie, and 3 youth teams, just in Cleveland. And we've never had that, and I've lived here all my life. So it's nice to see that the culture is being preserved and presented, and a whole new wave of people. And we have of every nationality playing Gaelic football. They don't
Really?
we don't really, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're black, white, or Chinese, whatever. If you want to play. We're glad to have you. That just spreads the word, and that's how the company has become so diverse. Our staff are in 6 states. They cover, I don't know how many cultures, but a lot of them. Being Irish might help get a job with us. Not being Irish doesn't hurt you. So it's that's the thing that we're trying to, without trying to be highfalutin, what can we do to help others? Because it's going to come back to us. Whether you can check off a dollar mark or not, that's not the point. Not everything has to make money, but is the culture better because we were here? That's our hope. So I'm open to any ideas that you might have on how we can spread it. And you're gonna have different experiences than I do. I can easily say, yeah, we'll give you an ad. But that's very short life. I want to have things, when somebody puts away that issue of paper, they're generally not going to see it again. Whereas online, it's got a longer shelf life. And if we can find a way to make it somewhat interactive, maybe once a month, once or some period, we have somebody live, answering questions or just singing some Irish songs, whatever it might be, just to have a presence on not a daily basis, but a frequent basis, rather than just, oh, here's a new issue. What happens after that? Nothing. Okay, we don't want that. We want something to happen after that. So I probably put you to sleep with all my talking, but
not at all.
Get an idea of where we're going.
Look, it's really interesting, the dynamics of the demographics that are changing so much, but there's the whole print and the cost of print versus the opportunities of online. And then there's very positive trends around, the GAA as well, and festivals, and I'm sure music as well is being played locally, would it?
Very much. Yeah, there's pipe band. You can have live music. It's odd, but you can have live music in Cleveland 7 days a week. Every single day you can find a live band, Irish band, not just it's a musical capital in some ways, with being Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But as far as Irish is concerned, it's 7 days a week, which is amazing. Very fortunate to have that.
Yeah, really good. So, so from Bite-Size Irish's perspective, I should be upfront about incentive, because, we have a mission of helping to generate, and we have it on our site, helping to generate an Irish language community in Ireland and internationally. So it's about getting people to speak Irish. Ultimately, that's the mission. It's how do we do that? To get in front of more people always helps, right? Because you know yourself, 1,000 people might see the website. You know, I don't know how many. Let's call it 20 people sign up for the free email newsletter, which we sent out every single week for the past 14 years. So that's nice. And then, you know, a couple of people might sign up for membership, and the game of the membership business is like you're trying to get more people in than people leaving, and that's always like you're kind of chasing your tail, running away from the tail. It's really interesting.
With you on that.
So what we are a small team, so it's hard to it's hard to like add extra, you know, like obligations on the team members, but
Yeah.
we've got really really lovely like assets that we know how to produce. So we're really good at producing information that's consumable by people online, without the assumption that they did Irish at school, for example. That's actually a big barrier because some services in Ireland almost like implicitly assume that you did Irish at school. Yeah, so we don't make that assumption, and we've produced content over the years, you know, with that flavor. Although we're clearly Irish, we want to be clear that we're Irish. Although a lot of our customers are in the States, we have a nice chunk of customers in Ireland and elsewhere as well. Like Germany, it's like it's a small enough percentage, but Germany,
Right.
like there's always people learning Irish in Germany.
That's
Crazy.
something. It'd be too hard to track back why, in a sense, how did what launched that? But man, it's fascinating. See the
Yeah,
different outlets. And Japan, I've also seen Japan as being very heavily into more traditional Irish music than, the ballads or that kind of thing. Well, how did that happen? You never go back all
yeah,
the way to find out, but it's fantastic. And that's what's keeping it alive by spreading it beyond just the Irish. I don't want to call it
yeah,
world music, but so much of the Irish music is world music now, especially on the rock side of it, uh, and the variations. And the purists hate it, but it's keeping it alive.
yeah,
Alive. And as long as you're doing it with the right intent, not a personal agenda, then I think it's worth it.
yeah. So I'm jotting down some kind of digital resources that we create that maybe could help you. Like I don't know, I don't want to jump to conclusions on what your audience might find interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll take your guidance on that. But for example, we create long form, like 5-minute videos for YouTube every 2 weeks. They're called
Right.
How to Say videos on our Bites as Irish channel. So we kind of we take an ongoing kind of series of subjects. Lately, it's people have been finding like nature interesting, animals. It's kind of connecting back to the land, which is interesting. But we have, you know, depending on the month as well, you know, Shanachal phrases. So it depends, but
Yeah.
those are videos that we produce regularly,
Right.
that can be accessed at a specific link on our site. So you could, if you wanted to, feature a video like that. That's an
Very
idea.
much. Very much. And we can work out logistics of it, but we would create. We
Yeah.
do have the guy that teaches the Irish class is also a columnist for us. So
Okay.
we're not stepping on him in any way. The more we can offer different, I think, different flavors, if you will, because everybody learns differently. That's good. So if we have a page, so to speak, within the website for Bite Size Irish, that people can use anytime. Every time you send us a video link, we'll add it. It takes 2 seconds to add it. If you add a video
Really?
to the website, it's nothing to it. But I think every 2 weeks having that on there, and build a library, of course. Somebody wants to go back and look at an old one, they're not going to be stopped from doing that. The only thing we'd have to see is, how do we make sure the revenue is still coming in for you? My goal, of course, is to grow revenue for the paper, but not in what I'm thinking in this case. But if you are able to send other people our way, then we're going to be able to say, hey, let's give them a free ad this month, or it's your 10th anniversary, or it's 15th anniversary. I guess it would be, what are the different things that we can do to help promote you? And again, social media, it's so easy, it's ridiculous to create something. Maybe I'm kind of visualizing it wide open, but there's a page on the website towards that Bite Size Irish. We'll call it whatever you want, to a degree, but Bite Size Irish. This month's lesson, or we send out an e-bulletin every second Wednesday, 26 times a year, and that goes out to 15,000 opted-in subscribers. So it's a good reach, and they're not, all Greater Cleveland. Something like that that's adding a different. I don't want everything to come from us. We want to show that how diverse are and things going on. We have writers in 6 states. We have had writers in Ireland before. We don't right now. But there are different things that we can do with that to help support you. We don't have to make money off of it. If you send us some referrals, at different times throughout a year or month or whatever, we can say, okay, let's throw an ad in because it's your 15th anniversary, or you're introducing Irish for the summer, or tourism type thing. You're going to Ireland. Here's some things to learn. To be able to order a pint, or to be able to order not implying that they all order a pint, but order a cup of tea or whatever it might be. It's unlimited on our end, and that's both the pro and the con of having one owner. Decisions come quickly, but I want different voices, and I'm very cognizant of that we need to have different voices. Not everybody has the same experience that I do. I'm mostly positive, of course, but let's talk about some different experiences. Say, hey, what 2-hour column that just joined us? I'm terrible telling ages, but they're in their 30s. And they do travel to Ireland a couple times a year, but they are there for the party. They are not, that they are there to have fun. But their stories are very interesting. They write back, they take pictures, they take good quality pictures and that. So we put video and photos of where they've gone on the website, and that lasts, God willing, forever. So we can do that with whatever you want to put out there. And the more video, the better, because that's where it's going. That. But then it kind of becomes evergreen, at least for a little while. To post it on Instagram, post it on TikTok, post it on Facebook, whatever it might be. So you're offering us a lot too. You're offering us a lot of high quality content. I've been following Bite Size Irish for a while, and I get the weekly updates and that. The Bite Size Irish that you can absorb for the day. So I'd like to spread that more to other people.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I think, if we find a way to do this, sustainably, and I'm sure, I love the way you're talking, like, collaboratively. It's like,
Exactly.
win-win in different ways over time and figuring it out. I think we can figure out something that can be a long-term relationship that builds value for you and for us, and, every ship rises with that, yeah.
This
So it sounds fantastic.
call is about to end. We're running out of time on this. If you wouldn't mind, think about it, and I'll think about it, and we'll email and talk again whenever you feel
Yes,
you have time. Let's see what we can
John,
brainstorm.
fantastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a YouTube link right now. I went to Killarney to the Oireachtas singing competition, so I'll send you a link to that, and it might be of interest.
Very much so. And any of that kind of stuff doesn't have to just be under your note. What's Ireland like? That's what we try to tell people. It's hard to do that sometimes. What's it really like? A video is a million times better. That. So whatever you want to send. Let's maybe get together in a week again when you've had time to digest